2 release now. So in the second release, we start in the same good zone right here, sort of between the solar plexus and the sternum. These actually function great way low. They're not so good so high, but in the middle and below, they work very nicely. The grip is coming, and this time it's coming on the exposed part of the wrist, the open wrist. The palm is up. We want to work from the physiological extremes of where we can be gripped so that we don't get caught in those extremes without a reflex that allows us to work. What's happening at the local level with the wrist as he grips is flexing here. There's a couple of ways to go about this. There's the flex that goes straight down like this, which is very nice. Boom. And there's also turning. You see this as well. The turning action looks like something happening at the wrist, but it's largely activity of the shoulder. So if I do the turning action, I feel it largely in the shoulder actions here. And they both have good effects. Down like this, or rotating like this. You see the effects on uke. So as Damon makes that action, again, I need to be moving my center of gravity, invoking the power of my whole center of gravity, moving off the line of the attack, and then rotating around the point of contact until we establish a position of control or a place to throw. So as we come here, I'm going to step off the line and slip right behind him. I'll do that once more. Off the line, right behind him. Now, as I step off the line, I move very tight to him. I don't try to go a long, long way. I don't travel a drastic distance. Let's do it facing at the camera so that you can see a different angle. And so there was sort of a sense in which now you see my back, now you see Damon's front. Everything's happening in this narrow little lane right here. This is the form of this technique that emphasizes the dropping or the pushing down function here, just like we had in the walk, the pushing down function. If we do the form that happens with the more turning action, with the rotation of the shoulder, we see everything turns about, maybe not quite 90 degrees, but you wind up with a slightly different angle at the end. The imbu, or the line of the technique, all changes here. Still very useful. Good. Now what's happening in the feet that allow this to transpire is very interesting, because as I'm stepping off this line, I'm stepping to get off the line of the attack, and immediately as my weight's going into my right foot, my center of gravity is rotating to try to maintain a centered relationship with the area of control, with what he's got a hold of. That's fairly critical. If we have a situation where the hand gets out of center or out of synchrony with the center as my body takes off over here. For instance, if I step with the outside foot, the left foot, with the right hand being grabbed, you can wind up in a problem of being turned yourself in something like a sumiotoshi throw. And so we don't want to have that vulnerability in our system. You may not always face that dilemma, but it's always potentially there whenever we start letting the hand track away from the center of gravity while we're taking our evasion step. So it's very critical that my center stays right with the hand. Everything starts turning from the moment of contact and the evasion happening all at once. The rotation that we see when we do the side action just means that we don't have to do quite as tough a job in terms of our rotation. And at the end, we've done a nice job here of bringing him into a state of non-equilibrium in which he basically is stable, but he's stable in a posture that's challenged. And so you see his heels rise up and everything get a little difficult back there. That's a vulnerability that we like to replicate as a stabilizing form at the end of 2 and at the end of 4 release. There's a tendency to do these releases and elongate them into a stretching pattern as if to make a throw out of it. So you'd have something that looks like stepping here and trying to pull him back. Those will make wonderful throws. They'll get horizontal in the air and fall like a sack of potatoes. It's a pretty devastating deal. But to elongate the sense of kazushi and control in response to control, we actually train to bring it in fairly shallow and to wind up stepping right behind him. I like to tell folks, yeah, you'd like to get right in behind him where you could touch him on the shoulder or pick his pocket, or you want to have access to his body with your second hand. And if you go a little further out, you can't reach anything. You have less control. So as you come in behind the man, you'd like to maintain a spatial relationship in which you could have this nice control so that anything else you want to do, if you want to make a throw, you want to do an ashiroate to him, for instance, or you would like to come down here and control the elbow and the arm as he turns, or if he turns around suddenly, you'd like to be right here for your shot in terms of shomanate. All the species of these activities where you elongate and you stretch them out and you have a great distance give you targeting problems and give you secondary control problems. And so the preferred method for myself is to wind up right behind him. Secondary hand in placement for control. So your turn. I'm going to attack you, number 2. Here we go. Good. And now where's your spacing? Can you touch me with the other hand? Yeah, very good. Excellent. Good. And that's nice. Now that was the downward one. You might just try the turning out one. It's largely in the shoulder. Yeah, nice. Good. You see how you don't have to turn so far there? Mm-hmm. Good. He's doing a nice job stepping same hand and foot, getting control position at the end. Excellent, Damon.